Welcome to the deep dive, where we sift through the noise to bring you the signal. Today, we're taking a really extraordinary journey, not just back in time, but kind of through time itself.
Yeah.
Imagine this fabled city, like over 4,000 years ago, Babylon, right? Famous for its wealth, its amazing engineers. Now, what if I told you the secrets to, lasting wealth, to really mastering your money, weren't some fancy modern algorithm, but principles from way back then, from ancient wisdom?
It's a fascinating idea, is it?
Totally. And that's exactly what we're doing today. We're diving into Georges Clausen's 1926 classic, The Richest Man in Babylon. And look, this isn't some dry economics book. No, it's a collection of parables, these really vivid stories from ancient Babylon. They all revolve around this fictional guy, Arcad. He starts out as a poor scribe, basically an everyman, and turns himself into, well, the richest man in Babylon. And he shares how he did it.
The journey itself is part of the lesson.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we've looked at an overview, mostly from a Wikipedia entry on the book. It kind of pulls together the main ideas in its history. Our mission today, pretty clear. We want to pull out the most powerful, the most timeless bits of financial wisdom from this ancient text and show you how they actually apply to your life right now.
Right.
Think of it as like your shortcut to understanding principles that have worked for literally thousands of years.
And it's genuinely remarkable how relevant they still are. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, the setting is ancient Babylon, camels, and clay tablets.
Yeah.
But the core human stuff, our hopes, our fears about money, wanting security, that hasn't really changed much at all. So Arcad's advice, it still speaks to us. It feels surprisingly potent, even with all our modern financial complexities.
Yeah, potent is a good word.
And it's not just some dusty old book. I mean, ideas like pay yourself first or live within your means, maybe invest in what you know.
Yeah.
These were pretty revolutionary concepts when Clason first put them out there like this. And they're still the foundation of personal finance today. This book, it's almost 100 years old, sold over 2 million copies. And you still see it on recommended reading lists now. That tells you something, right? Its wisdom isn't just historical, it's foundational.
That really is a powerful testament. And what makes it even more interesting is how the book actually came about. Its origin story is kind of unusual. Can you tell us a bit about how Clausen first got these stories out there, even before it was a book?
Sure, yeah. It's fascinating because he didn't just sit down and write a book, cover to cover. These stories, these parables, they were first published as like separate little pamphlets. U.S. banks and insurance companies handed them out between 1920 and 1924. They were basically early financial literacy tools designed to make complex ideas simple.
Yeah.
It was only later, 1926, that they bundled them all together into the book we know today.
Wow, so it started as almost like financial education flyers. That's wild. And that structure, using stories instead of just dense financial advice, that seems key to why it's lasted so long, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, think about it. The story format just works.
Yeah.
Our brains are wired for stories, right?
Yeah.
Instead of just, dry economic theory, you get relatable characters dealing with money problems everyone understands. You follow Arcad's journey, starting poor, having those aha moments, eventually succeeding. It lets these big financial ideas sink in much deeper, more intuitively than, say, looking at a spreadsheet. It kind of bypasses the intellectual defenses.
Yeah, it makes it feel real. And what Arcad shares are these things he calls the 7 cures for a lean purse. These are his practical steps, right? Like
Yeah.
a roadmap for anyone to build wealth no matter where you're starting from.
Exactly. Actionable advice.
So, the first cure, it sounds almost too simple, but it's actually really tough for a lot of people. Start thy purse to fattening. It's not about luck, it's just pure discipline. Saving. Arcad says save at least 10% of what you earn, and he paints this picture like, for every 10 coins thou placest within thy purse, take out for use but 9. Then he says, thy purse will start to fatten at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in thy hand and bring satisfaction to thy soul.
It's beautiful, isn't it? That
Yeah.
simplicity. But, how many of us really in this world of instant everything, click to buy, how many truly prioritize that future self, actually paying ourselves first before the bills, before the fun stuff? Arcad got the psychology. Seeing that savings grow, feeling it, even metaphorically, it creates this tangible sense of achievement. That reinforces the habit. It gives real satisfaction, maybe more than that quick purchase you forget about tomorrow.
That tangible feeling, yeah. It fights against that problem he hits on with the second cure. Control the expenditures. He's basically warning us about lifestyle creep, that thing where your spending just magically expands to match whatever you earn, or even more. He famously said, what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. And crucially, he adds, confuse not the necessary expenses with thy desires. Oof.
Mhm. That phrase, protest to the contrary, so good. He recognizes that, well, modern life, advertising, it all works against you. It tries to convince you desires or needs. So Arcad's wisdom isn't just make a budget, it's deeper. It's about understanding that human tendency, that hedonic treadmill thing,
Mhm.
where you get used to stuff and then just want more. The insight for you listening is, unless you actively push back, more income rarely means enough feeling. It's about finding contentment with sufficient.
It's almost like he predicted modern marketing, right? Okay, so you've got saving down, you're controlling spending. Then comes the third cure. Make thy gold multiply. This is where Akkad really gets into investing. He says, learn to make your treasure work for you. Make it your slave. Make its children and its children's children work for you.
That children and children's children analogy. I mean, that's basically compound interest, right? Just described in ancient terms. And that concept, for you listening today, it's still the absolute bedrock of building wealth over time. What Arcot understood, maybe better than some of us today, is the patience it requires. Compounding really takes off in the later years. It needs that long-term view, which can be tough when we want results now. Babylon teaches patience.
Yeah, that long game. And playing the long means you have to protect what you've built. Which brings us to cure number 4. Guard thy treasures from loss. Arcad is really cautious here. He warns against risky investments, those get-rich-quick ideas, yes? Is it wise to be intrigued by larger earnings when thy principal may be lost? I say not. And study carefully before parting with thy treasure. Be not misled by thine own romantic desires to make wealth rapidly.
And isn't that just timeless? Seriously, whether it was, I don't know, risky spice trades back then or crypto scams today, that lure of easy money is always there. Human nature. Arcad's pushing prudence, caution over greed. Do your homework, understand what you're investing in. He reminds us that keeping the wealth you have is just as vital, maybe more vital than just chasing bigger returns.
Why? It makes you think about all those can't-lose things you hear about. Okay, the 5th cure, make of thy dwelling a profitable investment, feels a bit more specific. Arcad believed, I recommend that every man own the roof that sheltereth him and his. He even suggests maybe using your home for business.
Well, it highlights that dual role of home ownership, doesn't it? For a long time, and still for many, it's not just shelter, it's a major financial asset. It builds equity, gives stability, and yeah, for entrepreneurs, it's often a practical starting point, a base. It speaks to that deep human need for roots, for security, and using what you have smartly.
That security theme definitely connects to the 6th cure, ensure a future income. This is all about planning for the long term. Arcad's foresight here is pretty amazing, actually. He says, therefore do I say that it behooves a man. Well, basically it's really important to make preparations for a suitable income in the days to come when he's no longer young, and to make preparations for his family should he be no longer with them.
It's quite profound, isn't it? How these ancient ideas hit on something so universal. This need for security, for looking ahead. It crosses cultures, centuries, whether it was saving grain back then or pensions and insurance today. The basic challenge is the same. Preparing for a time when you might not be able to earn as much and making sure your loved ones are okay. It's just fundamental human planning.
Yeah, fundamental. And that leads perfectly into the final one, the 7th cure. Increase thy ability to earn. This one feels really empowering. Arcad's insight is the more of wisdom we know, the more we may earn.
Hmm.
And also, that man who seeks to learn more of his craft shall be richly rewarded.
What I love about this one is it shows financial success isn't just about managing the money you have. It's also about investing in yourself to earn more. I mean, in today's world, things change so fast. Arcad's call to keep learning, get better at what you do.
Yeah.
It's more critical than ever. He's saying your biggest asset isn't the gold in your purse. It's your ability to learn, adapt, create value. So for you, lifelong learning isn't just, a nice hobby. It's a core financial strategy.
That's a great way to frame it, personal growth as a financial strategy.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are the 7 cures. But Arcad also shares the 5 laws of gold. These feel, I don't know, maybe deeper, more like underlying principles. They often seem to echo or expand on the cures.
Yeah, they feel more like the physics of wealth almost. The immutable rules.
Right. So the first law of gold. Gold cometh gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings for the future. This sounds a lot like that first cure, the 10% savings rule, doesn't it?
It absolutely does echo it. But
Yeah.
notice the phrasing, cometh gladly and increasing quantity.
Yeah.
It's not just that saving 10% builds wealth mathematically. This law suggests it almost attracts more wealth, like a positive feedback loop. As if the act of consistent saving signals something and, well, financial reality responds favorably. It adds a layer of maybe encouragement to the discipline.
Huh. Interesting twist. Okay, second law of gold. Gold laboreth diligently and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment, multiplying even as the flocks of the field.
Mhm.
Again, feels like the third cure, making gold multiply. But what's the extra nuance here?
Well, he personifies the gold, right?
Okay.
It laboreth diligently and contentedly. It reinforces that your capital isn't just sitting there. It should be active, working for you. The emphasis is on the wise owner, actively finding that profitable employment, not just letting it sit idle.
Yeah.
It prompts you to ask, is my money really working as hard as it could be? Am I being a wise owner?
Makes sense. Then the third law of gold. Gold clingeth to the protection of the cautious owner who investeth under the advice of men wise in its handling.
Right. And this ties straight back to the fourth cure about guarding your treasures.
Yeah.
But it adds that specific element of seeking advice, external wisdom. It's a reminder that, yeah, be cautious, do your homework, but also know your limits.
Yeah.
Talk to people who actually know what they're doing. Men wise in its handling. True caution includes leveraging expertise, not just relying solely on yourself, building that trusted network.
Good point. Okay, fourth law of gold. This is a big warning. Gold slippeth away from the man who investeth in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar, or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep.
Crucial. Absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Invest in what you know and understand, right? How many times are people tempted by some hot tip, some scheme they don't really get? Arcade's basically saying, stick to your knitting, or at least get solid advice from experts before you jump into something unfamiliar. It's like a defense against FOMO, the fear of missing out.
And it forces you to ask, why am I confident about this investment? Is it real knowledge or just hype? This law says real wealth comes from discernment, knowing the territory, not just chasing rumors or trends. Avoid that trap of ignorance.
So true. Finally, the fifth law of gold. Gold flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings, or who followeth the alluring advice of tricksters and schemers, or who trusts it to his own inexperience and romantic desires and investment.
And this one kind of ties a bow on several earlier themes, doesn't it? It hammers home. Avoid the get-rich-quick mentality. Avoid scams. Don't let wishful thinking, romantic desires, or sheer inexperience drive your decisions. It reinforces that bedrock theme of caution, realism. Be skeptical of promises that sound too good to be true. Building wealth is a long game, a marathon. It needs patience, a grounded approach, not some desperate sprint fueled by fantasy.
It's amazing how it all weaves together, these cures and laws, across all that time. But it's not just those lists, right? The book has other great little stories, parables, like The Gold Lender of Babylon, which gives us better a little caution than a great regret. Simple but powerful. Or The Walls of Babylon, reminding us we cannot afford to be without adequate protection. Applies to finances too, I think. And one of my favorites, The Camel Trader of Babylon, just pure persistence, where the determination is a way can be found.
Yeah, and there's that really clever bit in the book where a modern archaeologist supposedly finds these 5 actual clay tablets from Babylon. Each tablet have another short parable, reinforcing the lessons. It's a neat literary trick, right? It makes it feel like these lessons were literally dug up from the past just for us. Adds this layer of, like, ancient mystery and authority.
It really does. So, okay, we've walked through The Richest Man in Babylon,
Yeah.
written almost a century ago, set millennia before that. And what we found is, well, it still offers this incredibly clear, practical, and, yeah, surprisingly relevant guide to managing your money. The 7 cures, the 5 laws of gold, they take complex stuff and boil it down to these universal truths about how we behave with money, about discipline.
Exactly. And it's not magic. There's no secret trick here. It
Yeah.
really comes down to the discipline, patience, and just consistently applying these basic fundamental ideas. And the message for you listening is that no matter where you're starting from, Arcade's insights can empower you. They can help you make smarter choices, build better habits, and work towards real, lasting prosperity. The wisdom's right there. It just needs, well, determination.
Well said. And as we wrap up this deep dive, here's maybe a final thought for you to chew on. If these core ideas about building wealth haven't really changed in over 4,000 years, passed down from ancient Babylon through these parables all the way to today's bestseller lists, what does that tell us about, well, about us? About human nature when it comes to money? And maybe, just maybe, does it suggest that financial success is actually simpler than we make it? That we keep overcomplicating things, chasing the new thing, when this ancient wisdom was right all along? Something to think about. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.